Hey guys, it's Lawrence here, and today I want to share with you how you can earn 10K a month, maybe a little bit more, every single month while still in your 9 to 5. So you can do one of two things. You can either stay in your 9 to 5 and just earn a little bit more money, or you can transition away and become your own boss. Why should you listen to me? Well, I have been there and done it. I have been a 9 to 5 employee, started my business on the side, and then transitioned into a business owner. And now I generate north of 100K every single month through my own business. And I want to share with you exactly what to do in order to do similar things to what I've done. There's a few things that we need to kind of look at and a few things that we're going to cover in today's video. And that is the problems that are associated with trying to start a business while you've got this huge commitment of a 9 to 5 role. Also, we're going to be looking at the solutions to those problems, and then we're going to look at the math around how to actually earn 10K per month. I'm really excited to share this video with you. This is going to be a real good one. So let's jump in. So if we start with the problems, problem number one is all around time. You don't have much of it because, well, for obvious reasons. You're working 9 to 5, 8 till 6. You've got other commitments. You don't want to destroy your social life and your time off, but you don't have much time. You don't have time to do marketing, which is obviously really important. You don't have time to do selling, which is obviously really important. And you don't have time to deliver your services. So quite a big restriction. Probably the biggest one is going to be around time and the lack of it. Problem number two is all around leverage. You basically don't have any. You don't have a team. You don't have a need for a team. At the moment, if you start your business, everything is on you. And while that is not necessarily a problem, it can be a problem if you're working 9 to 5. Everybody wants a piece of you basically, and there's not enough of it to go round. And time and leverage, they kind of go hand in hand. You really get a lot more time back when you have a lot more leverage. If you don't have any leverage, you don't have any time. And it's kind of like it's like a trap basically, and it's hard to get out of. And then the last thing is the business model. So most business models require full-time attention. They require kind of, a lot of time. Everybody says that starting a business is one of the most kind of difficult things to do. And it can be if you do it wrong, if you don't do it the right way. But, you're working 8 hours a day currently, you can't give it 8 hours a day. So they're the main problems. The business model, and obviously you've got to make sure that you choose the right business model, and we'll go into that in a bit, but you want to make sure that you're not doing something that requires you to work 9 to 5 in your business when you've already got that employed role. So they're the three main problems: time, leverage, and business model. So we've got the problem sorted. Let's look at the solutions, and we'll work backwards. The solutions really all happen at the business model stage, because if, for example, your business model, your business that you want to start is cleaning people's houses, you can't go and do that after work, because nobody wants you in their house when they're cooking their dinner. You need to make sure that the business model is congruent with your current situation. So they always talk about 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9ers. We need to make sure that you're doing something in that 5 to 9 time, and we want to make sure that the business model that you operate is easy to sell, because you don't want to be spending loads of time trying to sell something that people kind of want, maybe don't want, because you don't have a lot of time. You want something that is easy to outsource the fulfillment to begin with at least. And this gives you not only time, but also leverage. And you want to get instant leverage, and you want to make sure that this doesn't take away from your social life. The reason I say this is not because you need to have an amazing social life, but it's because you need to have longevity. If you're trying to do something that is unrealistic and it takes 4 hours of your day every single day, the likelihood of you sticking to this after your 9 to 5 role is not as high, at least. So we want to make sure that it's something that is kind of easy to get started with, that doesn't take up loads of time, doesn't ruin your life basically. Nobody wants that. So that's the business model that we're looking for. And I'm a huge fan of cold outreach agency, or a COA as it's known. And here are the reasons why, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about these. So it's very easy to sell, right? So a cold outreach agency, before we even go into why it's good, let's just have a little kind of brief definition of what it actually is. So a cold outreach agency is where you do cold outreach on behalf of your clients. Now, cold outreach is when you send cold emails. It's when you send cold messages, whether that's on social media, whether that's on LinkedIn. Now, you're probably thinking, what is a cold message? Well, for those of you that don't know, a cold message is kind of a unsolicited message. It's when you're reaching out to somebody, making a connection request on LinkedIn, for example, and sending them a message. It's when you're sending somebody an email. It's when you're reaching out to a stranger on social media and sending them a message. That is kind of what the cold stands for. That's a cold outreach agency. You are saying to your clients, I will do this outreach on your behalf in exchange for payment. That's it at its most fundamental. That's what a cold outreach agency is. Why is it very easy to sell? It's all very well and good me sat here saying it's really easy to sell, go and do it. But why is it easy to sell? Why do I say this? There's a few reasons. Number one is a cold outreach agency. It delivers on the solution to one of the biggest problems that business owners face, which is more leads and more customers. So when you're communicating with your potential customers, your prospects, you are talking about solving a very big problem for them, which is very valuable. Now, there's lots of ways to solve that problem, to get them more leads, get them more appointments, get them more sales calls, get them more clients, lots and lots of different ways. So why is a cold outreach agency one of the best ways to do it? Well, let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, you are going to run a Facebook advertising agency and you say to your clients, I'll run your Facebook ads for you. And they say, okay, cool. What are the next steps? Well, you need to give me some money. And then you also need to pay, I don't know, $5, $10, $15, $20,000 a month to Facebook to run the ads. And they're like, what? 10K, 15K, 5K, even 3K? Your service requires so much investment from your clients. That is where things go wrong. All of these business owners, they believe that the biggest risk to the client is the fee that they're paying the agency. If you charge 1K, 2K, 3K, 5K a month, it doesn't really matter. It's the 15, 20K that the client is spending in Facebook through you, that they're trusting you with their ad spend. That's what they care about. So it doesn't matter whether or not you charge, as I say, 2K or 5K. What they're really concerned about is the big amount of money that they're spending on ads. And when you are asking somebody to entrust you with their hard-earned ad spend, that's when it becomes more difficult to sell. But with a cold outreach agency, there are no costs, or if there are costs, it's very, very minimal. The risk working with you as a cold outreach agency is pretty much non-existent, because there's no big overheads that are associated with working with you. The only thing that they've got to be concerned about is actually paying you. And what I like to do, and what I recommend that everybody does when they're starting out, is that they charge based off results. If we say to somebody, let's use the Facebook example, I'll run your Facebook ads for you. My fee's 3K per month, and you need to spend 10K per month on Facebook ads. So 13K per month. That's scenario one. Scenario two is I'll do all your cold outreach for you. I'll get paid based on the results that I generate, whether that's, leads, whether that's sales calls, whether that's appointments, face-to-face, whatever it may be. And there's no ad spend required. You simply just let me go away and do it. And then you pay every time I get you a result. Clients will be literally biting your hand off for that service, because you're solving a problem with zero risk. If they work with you and you get them results, great. If they work with you and you don't get them any results, doesn't matter. The risk is not there. So it's very, very easy to sell. So that's number one. That was one of the big problems. And this is one of the things that we need. We need it to be easy to sell, so it doesn't take time. We don't want to have to speak to 20, 30 prospects before you can sign a client. We want you to speak to a prospect and then say, yeah, I'd be stupid not to do this. Why wouldn't I? And then you can just sign a client really quickly, really easily, and it doesn't take up any of your time. So that is the first thing, is we want to make sure it's very easy to sell. So that's kind of a tick right there. The next thing is what I call drop service. Now, you might be familiar with drop shipping. People that source products from China, sell them on Amazon, and let Amazon's fulfillment house to deal with everything. Drop shipping. You don't touch the products. I'm sure you're familiar with it. And we can take advantage of something called drop service. What this looks like is paying a specialist. So let's say, for example, you decide to do cold email. You can pay an email specialist to do the service on your behalf. So you can just outsource the service delivery from day one. So all you've got to do is get a client and say, I'll charge you for every result that we generate you. And then get a service provider, a specialist in a particular niche, and say, I will pay you for every lead that you generate for this client. So you maybe charge the client, say, $200 per lead. You maybe pay the specialist $100 per lead, and you just act as a middleman and take the $100 on top. That is drop service. And this is something that you can do forever, or it's something you can do while you're still in your 9-to-5 role, while you don't have all the time in the world to be, learning that skill. Maybe you want to reduce your level of exposure and risk, and maybe you want to, you don't want to hire somebody full time, or you don't want to do it all yourself to begin with, you can use the drop service, which is where, as I say, you just find a specialist and they do everything for you, and you get paid on results by the client, and you also pay on results for the specialist. So you're not paying the specialist $1,000 a month and hoping that he does a good job and hoping that you get paid more than that. Your level of exposure and risk is zero. If he doesn't get any results, you're not paying him anything, or her. And same goes for the client. Think about this in this way, right? So you've got zero risk involved with this specialist. And so you're like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. I'll hire somebody and they'll do it for me. Well, that amount of no-brainerness is exactly how the client feels as well. So the client's like, yeah, well, I'll only pay him if he gets results. So yeah, why wouldn't I? And it's the same concept. So everybody in that kind of triangle, your client, you, and the specialist, everybody's winning. We either all succeed or we all don't succeed. We just get paid based off results. And drop service is a great way to gain not only time, but also leverage. It's a really great part of the process. And that's why I love cold outreach, especially when you're trying to start out and get out of the 9 to 5. And it gives you instant access to a team. As I mentioned earlier, it allows you to lean on the specialist knowledge of others and simply act as a middleman. And as I say, you can do this forever. Or if you want to, later down the line, you can bring somebody in-house, and so you don't have to share as much money. It'll be more profitable. And this will not take away your social life. And what I'd recommend is that you start in a different time zone. So let's say, for example, you're watching this and you are based in the UK, you're working 9 to 5. You want to target clients in the US because you can work from 5 to 9 and operate in US time zones and still kind of work in their business hours. If you're watching this in the US, you can operate in Australia. You can maybe operate in different states, different time zones within the US, but you want to start thinking about different time zones and which ones you can operate in so that you're able to work in your client's 9 to 5 kind of working hours, but they're not yours. That's why I think a cold outreach agency is the best one to go down. So we've looked at the problems and we've looked at the solutions. We know that big problem is time, leverage, and the business model, and the solutions are basically a cold outreach agency. It's very easy to sell. We can use the drop service. It's just really simple. So now we need to look at how we're going to actually start earning 10K per month. This is where the kind of rubber meets the road, so to speak. How do we do it? Well, we focused first on value versus pricing. This is where people get really kind of hung up on, is trying to figure out how much to charge. And what we need to do is we need to sell something at a lower cost than the perceived value of what we're delivering. And we also want to sell something that is easy to understand or easy to interpret the difference between the price and the value. If it's easy to see that the value is up here and that the price is down here, it's really easy to sell. If we have to try and kind of create all this value, we have to try and, use really strong selling techniques to create all this value, then it's not as easy to do. If we can just say, the value is here, and the business owner, your prospect agrees, yeah, this is what it's worth, and I'm selling it for this, why wouldn't I? It's like selling $10 for $2. Everybody knows the value of $10, everybody knows the value of $2, and why wouldn't you do that? And we want to make sure that we're selling something that is so easy to define in terms of the value and the price. What we do is we sell leads. It's really simple and really straightforward. All we're doing is selling leads to business owners for less than the value of that lead. And we're selling them the lifeblood of their business, and there is spelled incorrectly, with no risk attached. It's like selling oxygen, it's like really easy to sell. Everybody wants it. Everybody needs it. We're selling it for less than it's worth. There's zero risk attached. It's so easy to sign clients this way. So easy. And if you either have the right skill set or you pair with the right person, it's so easy to deliver as well. And that's all we're doing. And it makes getting to 10K per month really easy. So let's look at the maths, right? So there's two really important metrics that we need to consider. We need to look at the customer lifetime value for your clients or your prospects, and we need to look at their lead conversion rate. So we'll do a couple of examples. Let's say you are working with a law firm and they work with businesses to help them with corporate law. You can say to the prospect, how much are your clients worth? How much do they pay you on average? You say, okay, well, we charge, I've got no idea whether this is correct or not, but we charge 1K per month as a base retainer, and then we charge per project. And on average, they probably spend per project 10K a year with us. So that is a total of 22K a year. So you say, okay, cool. So they pay you 22K a year. That's the average client. They say, yeah, cool. And so how long do they stick around for? Well, they stick around for 3 years on average. So it's like, okay, cool. So a client is actually worth, on average, $66,000. Yep, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. So when you get a lead, Mr. Prospect, how many of those leads do you convert into a paying client? I think if we get about 10 leads, we probably convert 2 of them into a paying client. So 10 leads equals, say, 132K, because 66 times 2, because 10 leads equals 2 clients, is 132K. So 1 lead, see where I'm going with this, 1 lead equals 13.2K over a 3-year period. So if you said to a client or to a prospect, I'm going to sell you 1 lead for, let's say, $500, and a lead is worth $13,000, what do you think they'll say? They'll probably say yes. Chances are most people would say yes. So you could then pay somebody, I don't know, maybe $200 for every lead that you get, which leaves you with $300 profit without really any overheads, because this is your overhead right here. And every lead that you generate this client, you bag $300. Let's say, for example, let's just say we work with a marketing agency, because that's the customer, the audience that we go after. And let's say, for example, you speak to them and you say, okay, cool. So how much do you charge your clients? We charge our clients $3K per month. And how long do they stick around for? They stick around for 6 months. Okay, so your average client is worth 18K. That's going to be an 8, is worth 18K. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, cool. And when you speak with a client, what percentage do you convert at? We convert at an average of 25%. Okay, cool. So the average, let's say, call for you over 6 months is worth $4,500. 18K divided by 4 is 4.5K. Would you be willing to pay $200, Mr. Prospect, in order to generate a call that on average is worth $4,500? You don't have to pay me any money up front. You don't have to do anything. I'll just charge you every time I put somebody onto your calendar that on average is worth $4,500, and you've only got to pay me $200. How does that sound? Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Cool. You pay somebody 100, you keep 100. And let's say, for example, this particular client, let's say that you get the client 20 calls a month. 20 leads, 20 calls, whatever it may be. So you're going to be billing them for 4K per month. They're going to be getting from this 5 new clients at 3K, which is 15K in month 1. And then times that by 6 is, if my maths is correct, 90K. So you're basically charging them 4K so that over the next 6 months they can earn 90K. They're getting more than a 3.5 time return on investment just in the first month, and they're getting a 22.5 times return on their investment. So 22 times return over 6 months. This client is going to love you and they're never going to leave you. So you're going to charge them 4K per month. You're going to give somebody 2K of that to begin with, and you're going to keep 2K per month. And let's say, for example, you sign 5 clients all doing this. There's your 10K. How many people do you think you need to speak to in order to sign 5 clients? So remember, you're not saying to them, yeah, I run paid ads. Give me some money for myself. Give me some ad spend and I'll do a really good job. You're going to somebody and you're saying, you know, those leads that you really need and want for your business to be able to hit your goals and hit your growth goals and, you know, keep your business alive. You know, they're worth 4K to you each lead. Well, what if I give you a lead at $200? If I go out there and get you leads, will you pay me $200 or $400 or whatever it may be? Will you pay me an amount of money for every lead that I bring you? And you don't have to pay me if I don't bring you any leads, so there's no risk on your end. How many people are going to say yes to that? Out of 5, you're probably going to need to speak to, like, let's just be safe, like 10, they're not clients, are they? 10 prospects, 10 business owners. And what you're going to do, and what we actually do find, is that you're actually going to have to turn people down, because you're going to want to find the best clients that have the highest value per lead or per call or whatever it may be, the thing that you're finding them, let's just call them leads for now. You're going to want to find the clients with the highest value leads so you can charge them the most, and people that want to grow quickly as well, so that you're able to Instead of just getting one client 20 calls, you can get one client 100 calls and really get like 10K a month just from that client. I wouldn't recommend you do that because all your eggs are in one basket, but it is possible. This is how you do it. That's the maths. We've been through what the problems are, what the solution is using something that is super, super easy to sell, using and taking advantage of somebody else's knowledge and experience, and then just working backwards with the maths. And it's really simple, really straightforward. So if you do want to, whether it's hit your first 10K online so that you can step away from your 9 to 5, or you want to just carry on in your 9 to 5 and earn some more money, maybe it's not 10K that you want to earn, maybe it's 20K, maybe it's 100K, maybe it's 5K or just 2, 3K, whatever it may be, this is going to help. And I can help you do this as well. I'm working one-on-one with a small number of clients to help them start and grow their cold outreach agency and get them to their first 10K plus per month. Get them to that point where they can step away from their 9 to 5 and get the location and the time and the financial freedom that they've been looking for. So if you want my help, and by the way, I've been there and done it. I run my own cold outreach agency doing above 100K every single month. If you want my help so you can learn from somebody that's been there and done it and avoid all the pitfalls and the bumps in the road that come along with it, and I can get you to that goal very quickly and very safely, then inside the description below this video, you'll find instructions on how to reach out to me and we can have a chat. I'll explain how I can help, what all of that looks like, and just guide you along the journey basically, so you can start hitting that 10K per month and step away from your 9 to 5. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.